where your breathing exercises helps you bring in oxygen into your brain so that you release of course you release and the same time inhale oxygen that helps your body to be rejuvenated and get rid of what we call um, mental fog, where you're not thinking clearly. Just like water, we drink water when we're thirsty, just like when we eat food when we're hungry. The breathing exercises is part of meditation that helps you refuel your mind to
Mm.
become more alert, focus, active again. So I think that, I truly recommend it, Dino, for everyone who's watching out there. They should really try it.
Good day. Welcome to the Leader's Edge. And today marks season 19, episode 6. And because it's the month of women, we have none other than second time guest, Fabi Carino, who will be talking about mental wellness. So let's all welcome Fabi so that she may introduce herself. Fabi?
Hi, hello everyone, and thank you again for having me, Dino, at the Leader's Edge. I'm very excited because this is a topic that I would love to share again, once again, to your audience and to everyone who has the capability to watch this show later on.
Thank you so much, Fabi. You're always a delight to have on the show. My first question to you is, what are some early warning signs of mental health challenges, and how can somebody like me recognize them in myself and others, especially in the workplace?
All right. You know what? There are signs when someone needs help or you yourself needs help. All right. The
Mhm.
number one sign when someone needs help would be perhaps their sleep. If their sleep patterns are already distorted, disrupted,
Mm.
they either cannot sleep or they are sleeping too much. But most of the time, it's really being not sleeping enough, to the point that I have encountered people not sleeping for 2 to 3 days straight,
Holy
because of
moly.
the overthinking and overstimulated mind.
Mm.
Um, and of course, there are different reasons why this happens, but that's number one, no? The
Mm.
second part that you would know that someone needs help is their hygiene. They no longer take care of themselves,
Mm.
as simple as brushing their teeth, taking a shower daily. And in the Philippines, we have a humid weather. We would normally take showers every single day, compared to other countries. But of course, for somebody who wouldn't bother taking care of themselves and having their hygiene affected already, that's also another sign.
Mm.
All right. A third sign is that one of the biggest thing that I consider as a sign is they become less engaged with people. They don't want to talk to people. They want to just stay inside their bedroom, or they just want to lie in bed and sleep whole day. And they are antisocial. They don't want to mingle with other people. And if
Mm.
people will mingle with them, they get angry, which brings me to the fourth sign is
Mm.
that in terms of their moodiness, they could get angry easily. And this is easily to the point that sometimes there's no reason for them to get angry. They get so upset, they get angry, they can inflict others, and they can inflict themselves. Another sign I would say for everyone to notice is hope, especially for people who've lost their jobs, lost a loved one. We go through an interim, psychosis, and that is what we call grief. But for individuals, like this is more of a prolonged agony for them, they lose hope with simple things as living, I mean, as much as they want to do something about their lives, they would rather not do it, and they would just tell to themselves that they don't have hope to live. They
Mm.
have no hope in finding a new job. They have no hope after their parents had passed on.
Mm.
So those are just some of the signs, but those are the major six signs that I can tell you, that you would notice with someone, or noticed with other people, that they need help, for that matter.
Well, thank you so much, Fabi. And for our viewers, please listen to what Fabi just shared very carefully because, for example, somebody who just happens to be introverted is not necessarily somebody who has a mental problem. They just like to keep to themselves. But uh, one thing that Fabi shared, which is very important, is like if you have a boss who's used to yelling at you, suddenly become very, very quiet and withdrawn, you may want to find out what's wrong because that would be an indicator based on what Fabi shared that maybe that person is going through something that has made him uncharacteristically quiet. Hmm. Fabi, I have a follow-up question. Lifestyle factors obviously will have an impact, no? Like apart from the obvious ones, which is grief, maybe something major happened to them, like they lost their job. Um, would other things impact their mental wellness, especially for workers? Things like nutrition, exercise. Do these play a factor as well?
Definitely. Actually, part of the part of the self-care strategies to manage your well-being and mental health, number one there is your physical needs and basic requirements. All right. So sleep is so important. In terms of like how many hours does someone normally sleep? So they would say it should be between 7 to 8 hours. But of course, as you get older, the less and less you get those 7 to 8 hours. But I want to highlight that you need to get at least deep sleep. In order for your body and your brain to actually rest, for your cells to regenerate and all that. And if you lack sleep and you work in an organization where you work overtime, when I used to work in media, most of our people would stay overnight, 2 nights, or when they do their shooting, they would probably lose sleep and have 2 hours only, or take a nap.
Mm.
That really impacts your well-being in the long run. Maybe you won't feel it yet when you're younger, but as you get older, and if this becomes unattended and not fixed, or not corrected at all, what happens is our body deteriorates, our mind and body deteriorates because of the lack of sleep. So that's one. Another thing that I would like to say in terms of lifestyle that we need to really look into is caffeine intake. How many cups of coffee do you take in a day? Because, of course, coffee has something that can jolt you for, you know what, Dina, speaking of coffee, I just started drinking coffee last year. I'm people who know well of me, I don't drink coffee. But because I work in a company that requires me to stay up until midnight, I started to drink coffee. So I could stay up until midnight because I'm on European time, or we call it EMEA shift, right? So I would say that you are allowed to take coffee, but at least in moderation. I've heard people taking 5 cups, 6 cups a day. I think that can jolt your nerves. You can be having anxiety. It can
Yeah.
trigger anxiety, I can tell you that, because of the caffeine, and the effect of it, that like making you worry about something that honestly it's just really the coffee. Those are simple lifestyle, huh? And I also want to say, when you're not going out from the house, because we're used to working from home,
Yeah.
right? And some of us, like me, I have been working from home for the last 5 years now. And because of that habit of working from home, because of that lifestyle working from home, I sometimes notice that I don't go out for the whole day anymore, or for 2 days already,
Oh.
because I'm just everything has no boundaries, like one step away it's the kitchen, so I
Okay.
take care of my food and all that. But honestly, when you're working from home, people who work from home are are susceptible to mental health problems
Mm.
because they're always isolated, they're alone at home, they don't have a social life. And if you're an introvert like me, I enjoy it for a while, but at a certain point you could also be on your living in your mind, and it can pull you down in terms of your mood, it can cause depression. So I would like to say that in order for you to manage these kinds of lifestyle, you need to take note that we need the sun, you need to take a walk, you need to mingle with people. Even if you're an introvert, it helps you to really become happier in terms of your mood, someone to talk to, someone to listen to your problems, and you in the same manner socializing. In fact, studies have revealed that the way to mingle with people, when the more you mingle with people as you get older, the longer your lifespan would be. Those are just simple lifestyle things that I could suggest, Dino. I would say when it comes to food, of course there are what we call superfood. Superfood is coming from vegetables, from fruits, from natural ingredients. But of course, nowadays we have so many junk food and so many sodas that
Yeah.
could also
Mm.
disrupt us. And I think that has not only going to affect us, not directly mentally, but physically, when there's so much sodium or so much sugar
Yeah.
that could cause diabetes. So, in a way, we need to have everything in moderation. I'm not saying do not have coffee, do not have sugar, do not eat chocolates, but everything in moderation is the key.
I would tend to agree. In fact, the mug that I have right now is
How many cups already?
oh, the two.
Second, okay.
And that's about it because even my cardiologist won't let me take more than two mugs a day.
Correct, yes.
But
That's a
having
lot already.
having heard
Mm.
you explain so well, no, I'd like to validate what you're saying because the older we get, the sleep regulating hormone, that's melatonin, is less in the elderly. Like for example, I get by with 5 hours, not because I want to, but because the level of melatonin in my body prevents me from sleeping longer than that. So there are days when I go to bed at 9 p.m. and wake up at 3 a.m. wondering why everyone is still asleep.
Yes, I
Well,
think that's the curse of getting older. You get less sleep. I have some friends of mine older than me, and they complain they only have 2 to 3 hours of
yeah.
sleep.
Mm.
And then I tell them, what do you guys do? And then, of course, they just read, they just watch movie, and it's like a natural thing for them.
Mm.
And honestly, Dino, I think that uh, I need to also emphasize that when we get older and we go to that towards that direction, we need to probably just have good sleeping habits, meaning in the same way that we cannot sleep, we should be able to do something that could be more of going to be helpful for our body and mind and soul. For example, instead of like going through Facebook and uh you know spending so many hours just scrolling, just looking what's going on. And I think a lot of people are guilty of that, before sleeping, shopping, or just looking at different social media. I
Yeah.
think in terms of changing that energy into journaling, learning something, or perhaps praying,
Yeah.
meditating, yoga, those
Mm.
are other ways where you feel in your body and soul with something that's more spiritual, something that can be better for you than just being addicted on our phones. And to your question a while ago, that's also part of lifestyle. We
Yeah.
have been so dependent with technology, and I have been speaking about technology and wellness, how it's connected. Definitely, it's so connected because we spend most of our time just scrolling, just looking at our phone, and it impacts the well-being no matter what age, especially for our kids who does not have the mental faculty to be disciplined. I've seen so many kids just ranting and screaming when their iPads is being taken away from them. And us adults, I think nobody stops us from doing so,
Yeah.
but we need to tell ourselves and we need to know that we have to limit. Otherwise, we are overly stimulating our brain. Our dopamine gets so depleted. That's why we feel tired, we feel depressed, because instead of using the dopamine for something that we could use for learning, for doing something that we love, um, we spend so much time on the phone.
Everything you're saying resonates with me because there was a time I sought the services of a sleep disorder specialist in Cardinal Santos. And I'll never forget the first 10 minutes that I sat in his clinic. He asked me one simple question that really made me think. He said, Dino, please describe your bedroom to me. And so the moment I was describing it, he was coming up with a list and he was ticking it off one by one. So he said, a bedroom is only good for two things. One of them is sleep. So you don't need your TV in your bedroom. So he made me get rid of my television. He said, you don't need your magazines and your books in your bedroom. So I had to reluctantly move my library out of the bedroom. uh, he said, you don't need your devices, your phone, your tablets in the bedroom. The bedroom is really just to rest. So it should be a place where either you meditate, you pray, or you sleep. It's not for anything else. So that was wonderful. So apart from, say, melatonin supplements, he really just made me clean up the room so that my mind is when it goes to the bedroom when I'm in the bedroom, I'm there because I want to rest.
Yeah, that's programming. You call that reprogramming your habit, making sure that the mind will recognize that when you're in the bedroom, it's for you to sleep.
Yeah. Fabi, in seasons previous, we also interviewed Bryson Bonsall, who you've probably heard. He is known as the laughter yoga expert. And he suffered mentally as well because during the quarantine years, he was he was unfortunate enough to have lived in a condo unit by himself. There was no one else with him, and he suffered terribly because of it. And what he said was that the thing that helped him and many other friends was they had a comfort pet. In other words, like either a cat or a dog that kept them company and kept them from going totally off the deep end. So I'd like to ask Fabi, um, are there benefits and potential drawbacks from, say, things like mindfulness and meditation practices? Because I know some people swear by them, but I'm wondering how effective are these things really?
I think what comes with meditation is the discipline to do it constantly. You
Okay.
cannot you cannot just do meditation right after, let's say, I train people and I teach them how to do breathing exercises, breath works, and all that. Meditation is like taking a shower. You
Okay.
need to do it every single day. You need to have time for it. Even if you start with, atomic habits of like 10 minutes or 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes the second month, 15 minutes, and then at least 20 minutes. I did meditation for quite a while, and there is a place that I go to, the meditation center, and what we do is really meditate for hours, for 3 hours.
Mm.
Because part of meditation, the meditation that I learned is really letting go of your negative emotions, as well as all our attachments to things, places, and people that probably no longer serve us, or probably keeping us down, or stopping us from doing the things that we need to do. So there are a lot of methods on meditation, Dino, but the meditation that I know of is being able to be with yourself and going deeper, and letting go, and being detaching, having that detachment
Mm.
as way of how you can let go of thoughts that are still there, because
Mm.
let me just tell you that our mind is like a camera. Every single day, we take pictures in our mind of what we see, of what we see on our phones, of what we feel, of what who we encounter, and we keep that in our mind. But just like the body needs to be cared for and needs to be
Mm.
cleansed, our brain needs to be cleansed as well. Because I'd like to say, in a rhetoric manner, our mind is one of the dirtiest part of the body,
Yeah.
that needs cleansing. And meditation really helps in order for you to let go of anger, of
Mm.
negativity, of emotions that really are detrimental to us. So for me, I am a practitioner of meditation. And likewise, I think that everybody should try it. It's difficult at first, but I think that when you put the discipline in it, it's really time for yourself and being able to just focus from within. Oftentimes, we look for answers externally. People will buy stuff so they can fill in the void, or they travel, they get out of the country, and they say, I want to find myself and rediscover myself, eat, pray, love, and all that.
Mm.
But to be honest, you know what? Nothing will change, because home is where you live, inside your heart and in your brain. And if you are going to practice meditation, it does help you that no matter where you are, regardless of what you think would solve your problem, like finding, let's say, a spouse will solve your problem. That's not going to solve the problem. You
True.
need to start with yourself in
Mm.
order for you to become a better spouse, so to speak. So the discipline of meditation has helped me really value myself, and also identify the emotions and really recognize them. And they are all valid, but in the same manner, I have to let go, forgive myself, and forgive
Mm.
other people. So I feel that I want to tell everyone that if they haven't really meditated, there's just so many exercises that they can seek out there. But you can start with your breathing technique, the 4 by 4 by 4, where you can just close your eyes, inhale for 4 seconds, and then stop for 4 seconds and exhale for 4 seconds. This is
Mm.
a this is a methodology done by the Navy SEALs when it comes to getting rid of their anxiety, especially when they are assigned difficult challenges
Mm.
on their daily work. And so that kind of meditation will help you be grounded, where your breathing exercises helps you bring in oxygen into your brain, so that you release of course, you release, and at the same time inhale oxygen that helps your body to be rejuvenated, and get rid of what we call um, mental fog, where you're not thinking clearly. Just like water, we drink water when we're thirsty, just like when we eat food when we're hungry. The breathing exercises is part of meditation that helps you refuel your mind to
Mm.
become more alert, focus, active again. So I think that, I truly recommend it, Dino, for everyone who's watching out there. They should really try it.
Agreed. Breathing is fundamental to life, providing enough oxygen to our brain. And as you said, no, meditation is a form of centering yourself, realigning yourself with your inner true north. Um, So many people don't realize that our brain is its own pharmacy because we have dopamine, the anticipation hormone. Then we have endorphins, which is good for pain, serotonin when we're satisfied with something, and the cuddle hormone when you hug your loved one. Uh, it's all there waiting to be released. So I'm wondering, Fabi, because your experience is extensively in the corporate world, um, you probably run into people who are showing signs of anxiety and stress. Um, and you've probably noticed over the years that they have different coping strategies. I know that I used to work with somebody who was so stressed out that she became bulimic. She ate her way through her stress, and before working in the BPO, she was a long distance runner, and wow, slim. But after just 2 years of stress and working in the BPO, she blimped out and sadly developed what you call diabetes type 2. So what are common coping strategies, and are some of them unhealthy, or some of them good?
One of the perils of working at night is really getting bigger because our body compensates the lack of sleep. So when people are compensating it, they actually eat, they store more, and because they feel tired, they have no energy to do their marathons anymore, just like your friend, or to do their exercise because they'd rather eat and then take light sleep. Of course, our body is used to our circadian rhythm tells us that we sleep when the lights are out, and one of the things I did, because I worked in a BPO for quite a while in different organizations, they need to, and then there's no choice but to work in the BPO organization. I think it's important to manage their time and how they could mimic the night feeling by really putting blackout curtains in their rooms,
Mm.
making sure their room is really will be comfortable for them to sleep, and then likewise still uh, exercising, making sure that they're able to move their bodies. That's a problem with a lot of BPO companies. A lot of people, when you look around, they get obese, they develop diabetes, and eventually it can lead to heart attacks. That's why there
Mm.
are some stories you will hear as early as 26 years old, they have a heart attack. And that is quite young for that kind of situation, right? And all because of the lifestyle when you are in the BPO. And I think that for me, the BPO industry has also helped my career, but in the same manner that I believe that there's a certain age group that is good for that. When you reach a certain age where your body is needing more healing and all that, and you have, I mean, you have already some kinds of illnesses in your body. I think it will get worse when you don't sleep well, when you don't eat properly and all that. Um, I think that if you are part of that group or you're part of that population working at night, especially the ones in the hospitals too, they work shifts during nights also. We also have our service people, our policemen, our guards, and all that. They're all working at night, and I really can't help notice how they feel when in the morning when they haven't slept and all. But it is what it is because it's their source of income. But I always remind them to really sleep, make sure that they also eat well. Our body has a way of healing, but you need to give it time. Just to share with you, Dino, I was also pre-diabetic last year. For 4 years, I was pre-diabetic. My sugar was moving up and up and up, and to the
Mm.
point that 2 points already, I was gonna be diabetic.
Oh.
And you know what I changed, and I want to share this to everyone. This is not to plug any product. But what really helped me is did not I did not eat so much anymore of the white rice, because the white rice is the one that actually is causing my pre-diabetes. And
Mm.
what happened was I replaced it with a fiber rice called shiratake rice. That it tastes like rice, it looks like rice, but actually it's just fiber and water.
Mm.
And it's really good for people, not only for those who wants to lose weight, but also those who wants to change their lifestyle and diet. So just to share with you, from January of this year, last year, January to June, I was still pre-diabetic. But I want to say from June to December,
Mm.
after I've eaten that kind of rice and replaced it totally, I was so shocked when the doctor gave me my results, Dino, because my results like was so normal. It was unbelievably
Mm.
normal. My sugar was normal, the uric acid was normal, and so did my cholesterol was normal. And
Awesome.
it was so far from my stats compared to the past years. And I really attribute it with of course the diet of the food. And I eat anything. I'm a carnivore. I love eating eating steaks. I love eating meat, you know. I did not remove that in my diet, but what I removed was the carbs. And then of course, the second part there was I went back into really moving my body, because when during the pandemic in that 4 years, I was just home working, no way of doing anything. I was too lazy to do indoor cycling. But now I do at least twice, thrice a week. I go to the gym. I do functional 45, cross training, more very intensive, and that has helped me. I'm still very thankful. I'm not taking any medicines right now because of the diet and lifestyle, and likewise mentally I'm in a better state compared to before, that I can get worried or anxious about it, but about small stuff, and get stressed about it. And one thing that also changed was that I also left the organization where I would be working until 12 midnight. So kind of corrected that and felt that I had to choose myself over anything else.
Mhm. You know, Fabi, since it's the month for women,
Yes.
I'd like to ask a question that addresses that, no? And that is that for some reason, I'm just thinking that women may have a natural advantage over men in terms of coping with mental wellness because of their social connections and their tendency to seek out community support. How much of that contributes to a sense of mental wellness for women?
I think uh, I think in terms of mental health for women, I want to still highlight that there are a lot of women out there who still needs help. Okay, I think that we we are very focused with people who are working in the office. We have
Mm.
housewives also suffering mentally when it comes to juggling, taking care of their toddlers, and that's really tough. It's tough to have kids at home. It's tough to take care of them, especially if they're in their terrible twos. And let's say you have three children, five children. I cannot imagine what kind of stress do they encounter every single day. So I want to say my tips for women, regardless if you are working in the office or you are a housewife or you're doing both, you're juggling pretty much being a leader, being being a mom, being a parent, and you also want to take care of your body. So probably you're also doing something physically in your body, like you go running and all that. There's just so many hats or so many things you're juggling. One thing I want to advise for women out there is, number one is that always, always think that you are enough. We need to stop competing with other people and stop comparing our lives with other people. That in a way can help you. The best way to really improve your life and mental well-being is, Number one, stop observing people and comparing your life with others. Number two, be disciplined with what you want to do in life, especially if you know what you want, then be disciplined at it. That would help you build some consistency, create an agenda every day and put it slotted in your calendar, and then time block moments that you need to rest, time block moments of silence, time block moments that you can walk around the village and just walk around and do something that you like. So we have 24 hours a day, Dino. 8 hours is sleeping, 8 hours is deep work, 8 hours is time for yourself,
Mm.
relationship, and something that you could learn. I would like to give that as an advice for women who wants to really focus on their well-being. And another one is, of course, practicing your self-care strategies every day. It's not just because you want to get a massage that's self-care strategy. That's just part of it. So
Mm.
I've said that your time is the most valuable resource that you have. It's not money. So if you want to use your time wisely, make sure that you focus on the more important matters, which is your health, your family, your children, your relationship. And of course, I'm not watering down that work is not important. I'm saying that work is an important factor, but it should not be your life. Okay, that's a good way of saying it. It's not your life, but rather it's just one important aspect of your life.
Well, I'm glad you stated that, uh, because what's getting through to me in a very clear way is consistency. When you talk about making a conscious decision to watch what you eat, get enough sleep, um, interact with people, um, people will have to have the decision to have me time. In other words, take care of yourself. And what you've done is wonderful because you've shared a strategy for those who are struggling with pre-diabetes, which doesn't involve maintenance medicine. In other words, food as medicine. Instead of rice, replace it with something that uh, gets rid of the carbs but maintains the
Vegetable
fiber.
fiber.
Mm, wow. So, Fabi, could you share with our viewers any evidence-based approaches? Because there's so many therapies that are being recommended out there for improving mental wellness over the long term. Um, is there somebody you personally admire, look up to, who might offer us clues for improving our mental wellness long term?
Yes, I think that based on my experiences, in terms of like what I have been doing in terms of research, what would be the best way of handling or managing our wellness.
Hmm.
One of my idol, I think, of course, probably you know of this woman. I really admire Oprah Winfrey because
Oh.
yeah, for me, she's an epitome of a very successful woman. And in the media, she used her power of her voice and influence in
Mm.
order for people to be inspired. And I look up to her ever since for the last many years. And when she had her show, especially, I was learning a lot. And I think that it influenced me with the way I speak now, with the way I deal with people, with the way I'm unafraid to be talking about matters that are very important and critical, which is wellness. I think that she has really inspired me to also use my gift of communication and gift of gab in terms of sharing my gifts and really talking to people, talking to them in terms of crowds, different companies, societies where I talk about wellness, I talk about mental health for men as well, and likewise for women, regardless of what gender And one of the things I did recently, Dino, was I did a TED Talk. It will be out actually maybe in the coming days. And this is the global, of course, the global stage where I talked about wellness again, and I shared my own journey, Dino, of my past, just like how Oprah shared her past about her non-ideal childhood and her teenage life. I shared a bit of my life that it wasn't so perfect. But I want to say that and highlight that the lesson that I want to impart to everyone consistently is that whatever past you have, that should not be define who you are, but rather you could use the past in order for you to change your present and your future. Don't ever use the past that that could make you feel that you are a victim of your circumstances. We have the choice to we have the choice to seek happiness, and we have the choice to do something about it. Happiness is not based from the work that we go to, because that's just they just influence us, or it's not the person that we are with. Happiness is really coming from within.
Mm.
And regardless of traumas we had as a child, I had my own traumas also as a child. I would like to say that I survived those because I made a conscious effort to do something about the purpose of my life. And my purpose really right now is propelling me to help other people when it comes to wellness. And that's why I'm here right now talking about it, because this is the product of how I redesigned my future in terms of how I want to help people.
Wow. And I know that currently you are also giving many, many talks. I have seen your posts on FB, and some of them look really, really interesting. Could you share with our audience any upcoming talks that you are scheduled to give?
Yes, I do have the launch of my TEDx talk in the coming days. I will be scheduling sort of like a TEDx watch group where I will be inviting some people in an area where we could watch all together several TEDx speakers, and likewise, um, my talk, of course, will be part of those. And that's one. Another one is that I'm invited also to talk in one of the YouTube channels for cryptocurrency traders.
Oh,
We have 160,000 crypto traders in this channel. My co-speaker in TEDx has invited me, and for anyone out there who is a crypto trader, I will be speaking on March 20 also about wellness, because these are the people who have very high tolerance when it comes to stress and all that. But little do we know that, they have high risk appetite, but this also impacts the way they think. And I'm there to help out the community. And last but not the least, I am also the TEDx licensee for 2025 for TEDx Makati, and I will be the one organizing it and producing it this year. I will be talking about four areas. I'll be having speakers in four areas, which is wellness, AI, leadership, and resilience. Those are the four things that I like. I like our speakers to talk about. So those are the some of the programs that I'll be running. Some companies have invited me for some private affairs when it comes to wellness as well. But I also want to invite everyone. You can invite me when it comes to this wellness, especially this month of March. We want to help our women and uplift our women and empower our women. So those are the things to watch out for in this March and within the year.
wow. You certainly have a full calendar as far as March is concerned and in the coming months as well. Um, it seems that Although you're like semi-retired, you're busier than ever.
That's true. I actually no longer part of my current company, but I'm still doing a lot of things on the side, and I think that I love what I'm doing right now, Dino. It's a way for me to distress because I would say you need stress in your life, but if you do something that you love, you are under stress. It's
Yes.
stress, which is the right stress that I need, and it's aligned towards my goals in life. It's aligned towards my mission. So I don't feel getting tired. I've been speaking the last weeks like whole day, half day, 3 hours, and then
Wow.
I also teach at night at the Asian Institute of Management, right? So there were days that like, oh, wow, I've been speaking the whole day. But honestly, the fulfillment and the love of making an impact to people, I
Mhm.
feel that a lot when I do speak. So it's nothing compared to just working for the money. All right. So I prefer doing this and accomplishing my mission in life.
Whoa, guys, I hope you listen to Fabi carefully because if you do what you love to do, then that's a source of positive stress, or as she calls it, eustress. And her secret for maintaining mental wellness, I hope you take note of them because they are not just proven in her life, but proven in other people's lives. So Fabi, thank you so much for being with us today. It's a delight for me to see you again, and we do hope that we can invite you again in the future for other topics as well.
Anytime, anytime, I would love to be part again of your the Leader's Edge. I think that in terms of what you guys are doing, having different speakers in your platform is such an amazing initiative for everyone to learn, not only in our country but worldwide. So thank you so much for what you guys do, Dino and Dina. Thank you so much for having me today, and of course all the time. Just I'm just a ring away. Just let me know if you want me to talk about other things. I can talk about other stuff. But of course, to everyone who've watched this, please do care of please do take care of your well-being. We only have one life.
Yeah,
All right. Every day is a chance for you to be grateful, to be thankful about your life. So take care of your well-being.
thank you so much. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed, and I'm sure you did, do leave a comment because Fabi and I do love to read from our audience and react with them. So um, do remember to click like, share, and subscribe. Those little things do help us. And in case you're wondering, for episode 7 of season 19, we're going to bring back Boogie Boy Don. I think that would be the fifth time we've had him on our show, and this time he'll be talking about his book called Ang Bagong Pinoy, and he'll be hosted by none other than Rich Cruz. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as ever, remember that learning is a never ending journey with limitless vistas. Good day.